The Nationals got a big win in Philadelphia, but there is some drama brewing down this line, and it's with the starting pitching. So with Michael Soroka coming back, who's going to be the one to take a back seat, and will it be Brad Lord?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Later on in today's program, we'll be getting into this Nats-Red series. The Nationals head to Cincinnati. We are on to Cincinnati, and we take on the Cincinnati Reds. Tonight's matchup for them against Hunter Green, really tough pitching matchup. We'll get into that a little bit further later on in today's program. In the second segment, it is a Friday, so you know what that means. It is a Nats prospect stock report, who has been up and who has been down. We'll discuss that later on. Also, the Nationals, they have made their first very anticipated move in this bullpen. They have signed left-handed pitcher Andrew Chafin, been around the majors for quite some time, a former first-round pick back in the day, has actually had some success here as of recent. He was let go, or he chose free agency after starting down in AAA for the Detroit Tigers, and he is headed to the Washington Nationals, and they have decided to DFA Colin Poche. We'll discuss that later on in this segment. But we start off discussing yesterday's win, as the Nationals, all they needed was 4 runs and a very good Brad Lord start. So let's just jump right into that. The Nationals got on the board in the 6th inning of yesterday's ball game, and all they needed was 4 runs. They put 4 up on the board in that inning. And I want to talk real quick about Luis Garcia Jr., because he has really struggled the first month of the National season. But yesterday's ball game kind of put the Nationals on their back, and at one point stealing home. What was up with that? Luis Garcia Jr., not really known for his speed, decides to steal home, gets the run across the board, and the Nationals, they win. Yesterday's game, I think, had a lot of positives. And in the first game of this series, the Nationals should have won that game. If Keibert Ruiz, if he fields that ball correctly from Dylan Cruz out and right, then the Nationals win game 1, they lose game 2, and then win game 3, and therefore win the series in Philadelphia. We were that close. One play away from taking 2 of 3 in Philly, and the Nationals could not get it done. But they did win yesterday's game. And it was a pretty big win because, again, Brad Lord is someone who is fighting for his opportunity to be on this major league roster before Michael Soroka comes back healthy, which should be in the next week. Brad Lord made his case. And it gets us to this position here. What do the Nationals have to do when Soroka comes back? Because Soroka is going to be the guy. They are not going to put him in the back end of this bullpen at this point early on in the season. He only made 1 start in Toronto, which he got hurt in there. Brad Lord has stepped in, has been the starter. He was kind of like your opener, going 3 innings in the first few starts here, but since then has gone 4+ innings, and in yesterday's contest went 5 innings and looked really good. What should the Nationals do? Well, I think what should the Nationals do and what will they do are very different questions. What they should do is stick with Brad Lord. If it were up to me, if I were Davey Martinez, I would stick with Brad Lord for now, and it's not even a debate. Michael Soroka, while I'm going to bet on him being a solid talent for the Nationals, it's probably not going to be as a starter. And I understand why the Nationals want to continue to throw him out there. Number 1, they promised him a starter spot as he signed with this team. And number 2, he signed the biggest contract for the Nationals this offseason. They believe in Soroka bouncing back and being a good starter yet again. And Soroka has looked pretty good in his few rehab starts down in the minors, so I would anticipate him to start maybe these next 5-6 days here. But this should be Brad Lord. And I don't think that he has shown like enough at this point to like really make a hard case for it. But in yesterday's ball game, and probably one of his last opportunities this early on in the season to start a game, he looked really good. One thing that I have noticed, and a lot of times we have covered this for name that pitching prospect in any different scenario. What is one thing most prospects struggle with out of the gate? It's pumping the strike zone. Brad Lord was super efficient, just getting swings and misses yesterday, and the number 2, pounding the zone. 69 pitches in 5 innings yesterday, and he threw 47 strikes. A great performance all around from Brad Lord. Giving up no home runs, and also, by the way, Bryson Stott and Kyle Schwarber, who have killed us this series, he left both of them over at the plate yesterday. If you kind of dive deeper into this equation here, or whatever you want to call it with the Nats, they're going to have a solution at some point. But the solution that they should have is Brad Lord in this rotation. The 18th or 19th round pick just a few years ago has earned his role in this rotation at this point. I want to know what it is like to have Brad Lord out there every 5 days. He proved it last year down in the minors, and even 2 years ago, he also looked good in the minors. Working his way up from high A last year all the way to AAA, Brad Lord pitched his way into the Nats bullpen to start this year. He was going to be the innings eater out of the pen, but I think that's where Michael Soroka should be for the Nats. And the reason why I say that is I look back to last year with Soroka. Soroka was good with the Chicago White Sox. But if you look at his numbers as a starter, it's very much so Patrick Corbin-like. It's a lot of runs. It's a lot of walks. It's a home runs given up left and right in every single start practically. Soroka was actually good out of the bullpen. And it goes back to this one kind of philosophy thing that I have this issue with the Nationals. You don't have to push the limits on these guys. You don't have to stretch them out. Where Trevor Williams is good is being that fireman, someone who kind of in this Brad Lord role, coming out of the bullpen primarily, but if you need him to start and eat some innings, he can certainly do that and do a decent job at it. That's the way I kind of view Michael Soroka at this point. And with this rebuilding team, even though the Nationals, they want to win and they think they can win now, they should have Brad Lord out there because he has shown enough. So in a perfect world, I'd like to see the Nationals keep Michael Soroka down in the minors for maybe one more start if that's possible and see what Brad Lord can do because he has shown enough. And in yesterday's game, I was wildly impressed with what he brought to the table. The Nationals did make a bullpen move though. And guys, this was one that a lot of us were waiting to happen. They have DFA'd Colin Poche, who is signed here from the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Nationals, they have signed Andrew Chafin. So with that said, Colin Poche on this year, we all know it was not a good start. From day one, you knew that this just was not going to work out. He had 11.42 ERA in 13 appearances, 8 2/3 innings pitched, 10 hits given up, 11 earned runs. He had more earned runs than hits given up. Walked 12 batters. One time walking the batters, bases loaded, and only 10 strikeouts in his few appearances with the Nationals. That was never going to work out. We understand that. But now you have Andrew Chafin, someone who is in his mid-30s and who's had some success, especially even this last year. And if you look at his strikeout numbers from the Southpaw, he has been a pretty reliable pitcher these last few seasons. When I look at bullpen guys, though, the one stat that I really want to hone in on is his walk rate, which he did walk a decent amount of guys these last few seasons, roughly around 5 batters per 9 innings. His whip was good, decent this last year, a 1.473. But I look at his fielding independent pitching. Sitting at a 3.54 from last year with his ERA right around a 3.51. This is going to be an upgrade in the Nats pen. And if you look at his numbers down at AAA this past year, they were also pretty good. But being at 34 years old, a good character guy, someone who has been on some winning teams last year with the Tigers and as well as the Rangers last year. You also had him with the Diamondbacks and the Brewers in 2023. Andrew Chafin is a guy that I'm excited about. This was a move that needed to happen. You need a lefty specialist out of this bullpen in order to kind of stabilize some things. It's been no secret. This Nationals bullpen to start off this year has costed the Nationals a lot of games. If you have had an average bullpen, the Nats probably would have been around 500 right now. And I don't think it's that crazy to think that. Because where we sit today at 14 and 18, there's a couple games off the top of my dome that I can look back and think, well, we could have won that game, like game 1 in Philadelphia. You look at a couple of games in Toronto as well, and could have won one of those games against the Marlins also. The Nats have had a lot of games where the bullpen comes in and they do you-know-what in the bed. It's not been good. But Chafin at this point, anything is going to help this team. If he can be an average arm out of this bullpen for a 1-year, $1 million deal, sign me up for this every single day. The Nats just need help in the bullpen, and I think Chafin's going to provide that, hopefully starting tonight against the Cincinnati Reds. And we'll have that preview for you later on in today's program, but it is a Friday, so it's a Nats prospect stock report. Who's been up, who's been down, who's been hot, and who's been not. We'll discuss that after we tell you more about some of our good friends over at Amazon Fire TV. And of course, we've told you all about Amazon Fire. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick. 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. And what if you could just jump into your favorite Xbox titles without needing your console in every room? Well, Amazon Fire TV Stick, they provide that. I recently have gotten the new Fire TV Stick, and it helps me play my games. I can also stream different things. Whenever you want to stream a Nats game or a movie or a show, it can do that. But also, if you have your Xbox, it makes gameplay that much better. No lagging, none of that stuff. It feels better. It's quality because it's Amazon Fire TV Stick, and I want you guys to have the same quality as I do in my own home. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. Again, head to Amazon.com/Fire TV/Locked On. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Let's get into a Nats prospect stock report as we give you the latest individual performances on your Nationals top prospects. And we start off with last year's first round pick. They stock up for Siver King. Over his last 7 games, he has been tearing the cover off the baseball. He is batting .345 with a .690 slug in that time frame. He's got a couple of home runs. He's got some stolen bases. He's hit some guys in, and he's starting to turn his season around. In High A Wilmington, it's no secret at this point. It is a very hard ballpark to hit in. It is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. It always has been that, and it always will be that. Brady House is the one guy, and I guess you could also throw in James Wood in that equation also. There's only really 2 guys in this Nats system that have hit well there recently. Dylan Cruz in 2023 completely skipped High A Wilmington. They took him from Low A Freddie all the way up to Double A Harrisburg, and I believe they probably just didn't want him to hit there. It is a hard park to hit in for whatever reason. Siver King is now up to that challenge. He's taking it head on, and he's been doing really well as of recent here. And the dream of him being that kind of 5-tool player, it's coming to fruition. stealing some bases, hitting for some power, getting on base, playing really good defense at shortstop, second base, wherever you need him, he can play there. I'm excited about Siver King. At first, when the Nationals made that pick, I thought it was a pretty sexy pick because I'm like, well, number one, he does have a sky-high ceiling, but number two, it's going to take a lot of development to get him there. So far this year, he's been pretty solid. The overall numbers aren't great because he had a slow start this season, but he's starting to heat up as the summer steps in the DC area or in Wilmington for Delaware. But Siver King, stock up here as of recent. Stock down for Andrew Lara. And just last week, Andrew Lara was called up to the big leagues to be the extra man out of the bullpen for the Nationals going up against the Rockies. Well, weirdly enough, he just has not looked good in AAA so far this season. I believe in yesterday's start, he only lasted 1 1/3 inning, gave up 4 earned runs, I should add. He got 5 hits and just 1 walk. For younger guys like Lara, I look back to last year where he was really good, made his way up to AA, and after some slow starts these past few years, I thought he kind of put this behind him. When you only go not even 2 innings pitched for a young pitcher, I kind of hope and pray. I'm like, oh gosh, like hopefully he walked 6 guys and that was that. No, he got tattooed yesterday. Giving up 4 runs on 5 hits and only 1 walk. Now, listen, he's throwing strikes, so I guess you can take some positive from that, but you can't just sit there and enjoy. So yeah, not the best start for Andrew Lara, and that's where he sits. They stock down, but for a stock up, a name that we have not really talked about since 2023, second round pick out of 2020 and 2022 out of the University of Oklahoma. That's Jake Bennett's music. In his first rehab start of the season in Fredericksburg, he went 3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, and 0 walks. First outing since 2023. Let's jump into this real quick. If Jake Bennett, think about this real quick. The left-handed pitcher from the University of Oklahoma. You've already got Cade Cavalli, who's scratching and clawing to get his way up to the bigs. You've got Jake Irvin, both those guys from the University of Oklahoma. And the way that the Nationals have been developing left-handed arms as of recent, Jake Bennett would have been up in the bigs by now. This is a very much so forgotten prospect within this Nats system because he has been off the radar the last few seasons because he was recovering from Tommy John surgery. But if you can get a healthy Jake Bennett back in this system, the Nationals will have another left-handed arm to work with. And think of the guys that have come out of the system here as of recent. Starters, DJ Hers, who's now recovering from Tommy John. Really good rookie season. Very promising future. Mitchell Parker, who has looked really good so far this season and is building off a very good rookie season from last year. Jake Bennett could be the new kind of version of those guys. He's got a bunch of strikeout stuff there to work with. It's a matter of if this guy can back up what he has kind of produced these last few years, meaning his 1 year down to the minors, but still. Jake Bennett is a forgotten guy in the system. But don't forget about him. He's back. He's going to be making starts every 5 days. And the Nationals, they're excited to have him back because this guy can be a difference maker, not up in just the minors, but also in the majors, maybe as a starter even. So don't forget about him. We'll have our eyes on him as he gets started with his 2025 campaign. Got another sock up, Zach Brixey. Zach Brixey, another guy who's recovering from injury from this past year, making some rehab appearances, and in AAA so far this year in a couple of different rehab spots. 6 games, a 1.42 ERA, 6 1/3 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, and a 0.79 whip on this young season. Zach Brixey, again, bullpen. Very good bullpen guy, so he can touch up in the upper 90s, has touched 100 before, has some nasty breaking pitches, a good little slider there to add in with his fastball. Brixey is going to make an impact in this Nats bullpen probably relatively soon. And his running mate, Marquise Grissom, who was just promoted to AAA Rochester also, he's going to be in the bullpen soon. Maybe this is the vision, what the Nationals have. Maybe the Nats just think to themselves, we didn't need to add anyone in free agency. We got rid of Robert Garcia. That was a great deal for Nathaniel Lowe, who came up big again last night. But maybe they are just all in on Zach Brixey. They're all in on Marquise Grissom. And they're all in on Andrew Chafin, who's going to come in and probably be better than Colin Poche. But as we saw in last night's game, Jose Ferrer also came in, another young guy, finally came in, slammed the door shut. That's going to be a big momentum push for him moving forward. And I think with that, Zach Brixey could be in this back end of this bullpen pretty soon, I would think. And he'll be making his second stint up in the majors. But Zach Brixey, stock up on him. He's got to be in the big soon because you're going to need some arms and you're going to need some good arms. And he might be one of those. Stock up again. 2023. Second round pick out of the U. Yo-Yo Morales. His last 7 games, I have said this time and time again. We talked about Josh Bell and his struggles yesterday. Why? My power hitters need to hit for power. Yo-Yo Morales, he's a power hitter. The last 7 games, he's hitting for power. He's got 2 home runs. He's got 3 doubles on the season. And also learning a new position in Harrisburg. Playing over at first base, not an easy transition for him. But he has made it pretty damn good so far. I was texting with someone with the Senators yesterday, and they have all raved about his defensive performance so far. Moving from that hot corner third base position over to first base, the receiving skills are there. He's got a very smooth glove. He fits there perfectly. And so far, it's been pretty good for him. But I want to hone in on his power so far this season because the overall numbers may not be there. But this last week in Harrisburg, it's starting to click for him. And he's starting to get on fire because, again, he kind of started off a little slow last year, got hurt, was on the IL for a few months there, then got back to the swing of things and really started to heat up at the season's end. But Yo-Yo, he's back on track, and the Nationals, they've got something there. So keep your eye out on Yo-Yo Morales. But thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Let's talk about this Red Series after this. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Hunter Green going up against Mitchell Parker tonight. The former second overall pick back in 2017. He has been lights out this year. Really good in 6 starts. 36 and 2/3 innings pitched, 43 strikeouts, and a 0.85 whip on this young season. The 25-year-old is really starting to put his name on the map, and it's already on the map. He was great the last year and a half, really, and I think Hunter Green's going to be one of the best pitchers in all of baseball when this season wraps up. He is that good. This is a very tough matchup for the Washington Nationals, but unfortunately for the Reds, they got to go up against Mitchell Parker, and that's never an easy one because he has had one of his best starts as a big leaguer, supporting a 2.65 ERA. He's only got 1 loss on this year, 3 innings pitched, coming off not his best start here as of recent because going up against the Mets, 5 innings, gave up 6 earned runs, but the start before that against the Orioles nearly went a complete game shutout. 8 innings pitched, only 1 hit given up, only 2 walks and 4 strikeouts in that game. Mitchell Parker, the one thing that has really been impressive so far this season is that he has kept his walk numbers relatively low. Besides this last outing, he gave up 5 walks, and that's what kind of led to the 6 runs in 5 innings against that pesky Mets squad. But fortunately for the Nats, this is not the New York Mets. This team is less talented, although I will say this. I don't know if this is just me, but it feels as if the Cincinnati Reds are behind from where they should be. This should be a good team. 2 years ago, I was thinking to myself, like, man, in 2024 and 2025, the Reds might contend for a pennant. And they've got Terry Francona now, and they're sitting at 17 and 15. They're above 500, but it still feels as if they're off a little bit. And I know Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds and Stephen Offenbacher, they're going to be doing their thing. They're talking about the Reds all day, every day. But I've got to think to myself that they're probably thinking internally, like, when are things going to skyrocket? Because they have had a lot of good prospects throughout the years, guys that really just have not turned out up to this point. Like Ellie De La Cruz is obviously in the foundation there. He has been pretty solid so far this season. In fact, pretty damn good again. He is a freak of nature out there, watching him every single game. But unfortunately for the Reds, he's not going to be the only freak out there on the diamond. You've got Ellie De La Cruz, who is one of the most talented players in all of baseball. That's awesome. But we've got James Wood. James Wood hits home runs and does it pretty well. He's 22 years old. Doesn't really play the outfield hole too well at this point, but he's not hindering us the way that he was last year in left field. But we've got James Wood, man. Cincinnati, it's going to be tough because everyone talks about Ellie De La Cruz and how exciting he is, and he is exciting. I love Ellie De La Cruz. He is great for this game. He can steal 70 bases. He can hit 40 home runs in a season. He has an awesome talent, great defensively. But you haven't heard of James Wood just yet. James Wood is a pretty damn good player. 6'7", has crazy power. And in that ballpark in Cincinnati, he's going to hit some home runs this weekend. Going up against some right-handed pitchers, Hunter Green tonight with some velo there. James Wood likes to go the other way. I would not be surprised to see him plop one in those left field bleacher seats. Then tomorrow you're running against Nick Lodolo, a lefty who has been really good so far in the season. And then you got a seasoned vet with Nick Martinez coming typically out of the bullpen, but this year he has been just a starter for the Reds. They have to go against Mackenzie Gore on Sunday's game. I'm watching tonight against Hunter Green. James Wood is on home run watch, and also on Sunday's matchup with Mackenzie Gore on the bump. And then tomorrow you got Trevor Williams going up against the Cincinnati Reds. So hopefully the best comes from that, because you got to go against Ellie De La Cruz throwing 91-mile-per-hour fastballs. Not fun. But till then, have a good one. Enjoy some baseball. In Cincinnati, keep in mind, we've got James Wood, and he's good. I'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.